Paul and I are veterans. This is probably our 6th or 12th event. I can't remember exactly how many, but I am grateful to him for bringing our court team in, and thank you for that introduction. So first of all, thank you so much for being here, and please, oh, this microphone is nowhere near me. All right, I'm much shorter than Paul. So please do eat and enjoy this meal. It will definitely take the pressure off me because, as they say, this food makes a great event, and I hope this does. So I want to start by, first of all, welcoming you and to say thank you so very much to the Detroit Bar for hosting this event, and for all of you who came here in person to be here with our court team from the Detroit Bar. We are so very grateful. It warms my heart to know that you came here in person, because one of the themes of this day is that we are going to join forces to serve better together, and we need to talk about presence with a purpose and the challenges and the changes that are necessary after COVID and what it has done to our court and our people. And just stay on the first one, I'll tell you. This is the introduction. We didn't even start yet. And you know what? I gotta give you a disclaimer that I'm going to start slow, but pretty soon I am just going to be talking very quickly, because after this you are going to get this presentation. Sheena let me know that you will be getting a follow-up email with this presentation and the PowerPoint. You are to share it with others so that others know the state of the Wayne County Circuit Court, what they do for you. And so again, if we start with the very first slide, the very first slide has the new leadership from the top, and that is Leslie Kim Smith. If Leslie Kim Smith could please stand up. So before we even start, I will tell Mike when to put the next slide on, because I want to tell you that this presentation, Detroit Bar Association, is for you and about you. This court belongs to you. It belongs to your clients, and it belongs to your community. And as this presentation is about joining forces to work to serve better together, it requires you, and we are going to ask you and require you to please take note that this is your court, to please share ideas and concerns and your presence with us throughout this year of 2023, and please engage others to do so also. All right, so let's make this happen. The best word to describe the state of the Third Circuit Court in 2023 is dynamic. This 2023 is probably one of the years of the greatest changes in history for our court, and we are very proud of it, and we want to tell you all about it. This year, we have a new leadership team with myself as the new Chief Judge of the Wayne County Circuit Court, Leslie Kim Smith as the new Chief Judge Pro Tem and Presiding Judge of the Civil Division. We have new judges in every single division of our court. We have new court administration. We will have a new court administrator in 2023, and a new general counsel. We are restructuring and revising every division and every department of this court. Not because there's any lacking. We have a great, enormous team, but because of the challenges that COVID's aftermath brought to us, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Again, go back to the first slide. I will tell you when to put the next slide. The greatest privilege of my entire career is to serve as Chief Judge of this court. It is the largest and busiest court in this state, and the best court in the state, and I think probably in the world. presiding in civil, and my choice was Leslie Kim Smith. Her integrity, her wisdom, and her work ethic made her the clear choice. Judge Leslie Kim Smith is an honest sounding board and a reliable leader. Judge Smith and I are ride or die, not just for each other, but for the best interest of this court and for all of those we serve, especially including you. We are well prepared to lead this court by the mentorship of Judges Colombo and Kenny. Just to mention one thing on each, Judge Colombo's docket management leadership and Judge Kenny's leadership in telling us and teaching us all that we are servant leaders. So what we had to do first is open up KMAC January 17th to the public. A lot of us thought that we were doing a great job remotely. We were online, we were getting our dockets done, especially in civil, and we were there for you. But the public disagreed. You might have heard it on TV. They want us to be in court. They want our doors open, and they want our courtrooms open, they want our phones answered, and they want us to be there for them, and we should and we will. Judge Smith and I are both homebodies at heart, and it was difficult for us, let alone difficult for us to pull others up with us to serve in person in court. Next slide. Again, this today is going to be about joining forces to serve better together. You're going to hear about updates from divisions and departments. You're going to hear about challenges and changes. You're going to hear about presence and purpose, and you're going to hear about looking ahead for the future. Next. But before I do that, I really need to recognize some of our executive court administrative staff, because the reason our court is so great is because of the great people. When I became pro tem is the first time I really got to know them, and I really got to realize the absolute great people who work for our court. I'm not going to even be able to mention every one of them, and even before I start to mention them, please indulge me, because I really want to thank my own close court family in my courtroom, Stacy Stallworth, Reggie Gordon, Deborah Lee, and of course, you all know Fran Uturi. Stacy and Reggie epitomize presence with a purpose. They've been with me since 2014, but this year I watched them take care of long lines of indigent litigants who are there to seek fee waivers. Their patience, their kindness, their respect, clearly due to those we serve, makes me so proud to work beside them. Thank you so much. Deborah Lee stayed with us through Judge Kenny's administration. She could have retired, but she stayed to pull us through, and hopefully she'll stay to pull us through for years to come, because she's done a great job in leading us to join with the administration and work with the court. So thank you. And of course, you all know Fran Uturi, who has done work for this court for years and years. Your Detroit Bar Association actually recognized her because of her pro bono work, her work with the Self-Help Center, and her work with mentoring others throughout our court. Thank you so much, Fran. I also want to briefly mention my home family. Don Pizzard, a past president of yours, made every dream of mine a reality through his work. And my kids, who, although they can't be here today, they are now adulting in a way that makes me proud of them, and realize that they are teaching me much more than I could have ever taught them. Don, Joseph, Amanda, Mickey, and Corinne. And I cannot forget my parents. Sadly, my dad passed in 21, unable to see a day that demonstrates his dream. But my mom, my rock, always believed in me. And you may have heard that we are Hispanic immigrants. And their great insistence that we see the opportunities afforded to us here and be respectful and respond by giving our best service to our community and our country. Thank you. Now, I want to mention just a few, and this is just by example, because I'm going to talk about these great people that make up this great court, that run this great court, and I'm going to talk about why. First of all, as you might know, we are the largest and busiest court in this state. We are housed in 4 different buildings. We have 58 judges and somewhere between 500 and 650 employees. We are huge, and to run this court takes great people, and they're here. And I'm going to talk about in the divisions some of the people here. For instance, Alyssa Shannon, who is a deputy court administrator in criminal, a star. Aaron Lincoln, another star, friend of the court, and Toy Lynn Smith, who is the deputy court administrator of our juvenile division. But I want to mention some of the others that you will hear today, and please remember them. Please talk about them when you see this PowerPoint later. Lynn Roberts is our Chief Financial Officer. She is amazing, talented, intelligent, and very hardworking. We have our own Human Resource Department led by Benita Cheatham, that is tasked with bringing in about 100 people just this year alone, and I see that she will provide us those people. Mike George not only is Director of Information Technology for our court and right here running everything for me, but he is also the leader of our strategic plan, and we are so proud to work with Mike George. Tammy Palmer is here and absolutely the epitome of what we need to run this court. She gives us all the data every day, and I have a surprise hot off the press that I'm not going to mention until later, but she is, again, a star. Eric Weems and Jan Hiller had our operations and security. Jan Hiller protects us judges. She is the only person I know who takes calls from judges 24/7 every day. When we're scared, when we have someone threatening us, everyone calls Jan Hiller. She always answers, she always has a solution, and she makes us feel safe. Thank you, Jan. And I want to mention Catherine O'Grady, who is our new general counsel. She could not be here today, but she's fabulous, and she is going to be working with us. She just started in February. And Yvette Blackman, I must mention her because all of you who try cases, do you know how difficult it was? How can you imagine running the jury services for a court when plexiglass has to be up, masks have to be used, and it's difficult to get people down to court at all. And yet Yvette, with probably 3 or 4 people out of the 9 that she usually has and deserves, ran this so that we got so many compliments from jurors on how safe and good they felt. And there are many more of these, but I'm going to ask everybody in court administration, please stand up and be recognized. All right, and we're going to talk about divisions now, and right before we do that, next slide, I want to get back to you from the Detroit Bar. How many of you practice civil law? Raise your hand. Looks like most of the room. How many of you practice criminal law? A few. And how many practice family law? 2. Okay. So I know some of you may not need to hear everything about every division. The Detroit Bar is largely at this point all about civil law, but let's take this as one of the things that you do. Is there a Bill Winters in this room? I think so. He is new to the board of directors of the Detroit Bar, and it's rumored that he is going to start a criminal law section, and he's going to have a lot to work with today, a lot to share, because this is a great, great court, and what has been done by our court and our judges is who are here today. Criminal Division judges. On this slide, you see 25 people. We have a fraction of those people for a very good reason. Our criminal court judges, in large part, are in court today trying cases, and we are so excited with what the criminal division has done. So, you might notice that there are 4 visiting judges on there, and you might wonder, why would you have visiting judges on display? The visiting judges have been absolutely key to our success in this first quarter and throughout the year, and we are so grateful for them. These are people who are retired judges, who could have stayed retired, but came back at a pittance pay to try cases and to bring us to great victory. So, hand for the visiting judges. So next slide. This is an example of something that we want to tell you about the criminal division. So what are the challenges and what are the changes? The challenges, I'd say, are on the bottom part. I want to just say one word about treatment courts. Treatment courts are the core of what we do. The treatment courts are where we separate those who cannot be saved because they are dangerous to the community from those who we need to save. We need to recognize that families, lives, and communities are saved by treatment courts, and they also save money. And the numbers in treatment courts are way down. Why? Because of a lack of presence and referrals. We don't get referrals from the criminal defense attorneys or from anyone else to treatment courts. And that's in juvenile court and in criminal court because of the lack of presence. And we are back on site. The criminal court was the first back on site. And I want to talk about that. So the criminal court handles more than half of the criminal felonies in the entire state and conducts multiple times the felony trials of any court in this state. As such, the backlog due to COVID had the most devastating impact on our criminal division and our historically exemplary service to its community. As of March 1st, 2020, right before COVID, we had about 1,900 open criminal felony cases, and only about 600 exceeded a 91-day time standard. People's rights to speedy trials was being well taken care of by Wayne County Circuit Court. And then COVID hit. And jury trials were suspended until the fall of 2022. And once the restriction was lifted, and it was lifted in small part with few trials being able to be conducted because of the space and the health restrictions of COVID, we were faced with 5,500 open criminal cases, of which over 4,000 exceeded the 91-day time standard. Adding to that challenge was the projection of 6,200 new felony cases coming to this court in 2023. Courts are run by clearance rates. Nancy Haynes and Tammy Palmer there will tell you that, as well as Alyssa Shannon and Don Knapp leading the criminal court in what they did. Our historic goal was 100% clearance rate. As many of cases come in, go out, and we resolve all of those cases, and we've met those goals every year. But this year came, and 100% was not good enough. The current backlog of cases could only be decreased if the substantially. Everyone said we could not do that. This is a hopeless case. But what did this team do? Next slide. I want to first go back to 2022 and explain this slide, which you're really not going to be able to see very well, but you're going to be able to go back and look at it and tell others what they did. What this shows us is that the clearance rate in the first quarter of 2023 increased to 200%, double. And what did that cause? That caused the goal that we first looked at the possibility of 25% reduction of the backlog. We expected it to take 3 years. It took 1 quarter. So criminal court team, thank you for very, very, very well. Next slide. This is what the criminal court does. See the gold? That is an indication that in 2022, Wayne County Circuit Court disposed of 4.5 times the number of capital felony cases than Oakland, the next largest county. Next slide. To explain the numbers, in 2022, the criminal court tried 74 cases and resolved 875 cases. To explain those numbers, the next 4 largest courts or most productive courts, Genesee, Kent, Oakland, and Macomb, together resolved 849. We resolved 875 alone through the criminal division. Thank you, criminal division, for your hard work. And hot off the presses, which is the last thing I have to say about this, Tammy Palmer gave me the numbers today. This quarter, our criminal division has tried 106 jury trials, more than 2022 put together. And that is through all our judges. So talking about the grant and that came with this, before we go on to the next slide, I want to, you saw on the one slide it says that we got a grant. Well, last year, Paul Peru, our treasurer, regional court administrator, came and offered us the opportunity for a grant. He said it's very difficult. Many courts don't want to take the trouble to apply for a grant. I enlisted Alyssa Shannon, our leader in the criminal court, and Tammy Palmer, and Lynn Roberts for the budget, and Nancy Haynes, who wrote grants way back for the Federal Drug Treatment Court to put together this grant, and we not only wrote the grant, we were given the largest grant of the state, $3 million. To hire these visiting judges for the entire year to try the cases. We restructured the court to reduce the arraignment courts to 2, increase the trial courts by 3 plus all of the visiting judges, and that's how we got to 106 trials in 4 months. Thank you. So the next slide. I want to talk about, I've told you that we're going to talk about joining forces to serve better together. We were fortunate in having the County Executive Warren Evans and Mayor Mike Duggan put together a task force looking at gun violence and reducing gun violence after COVID. January 3rd, my very first day as chief, I attended this meeting, and it was amazing. We could look at all that COVID caused and point fingers at each other, but instead, law enforcement, the prosecutor's office, the county executive's office, the mayor's office, the clerk's office, 36th District Court through Judge Conoco, all got together, and we have been meeting every single month to join forces to serve you better together. Our grant, by the way, also, besides judges and law clerks for those judges, we have contract positions available to the prosecutor and the clerk and MDOC in order to assist us to assist our community. Next slide. I do need to mention the family division judges. Please, family division judges, please stand up. I just want to mention, even though we don't have family lawyers here, we are hoping that maybe a section is added with family law lawyers and criminal law lawyers so that next year they can join us. The family division judges are in 2 sections. domestic and juvenile. Through their leaders, Aaron Lincoln, friend of the court, Toy Lynn Smith, the deputy court administrator, Judge Cox and Judge Miller, the presiding judges, and their challenges are that they are tasked with selflessly serving the families and children of our community out of 3 of our 4 buildings and trying to do it as one family, one court. That's a steep hurdle, and I know that they are going to make great strides in doing that this year. One of the things we put into place to help them and support them in doing that is Judge Leslie Kim Smith. She was a former presiding judge of the juvenile division, and with her wisdom and knowledge and work, I am sure she will be assisting them. Judge Lynn Pierce is also coming in on contract to assist in meeting their goals, and I know that even though our beloved court administrator Zanelle Brown has retired, she is still with us. She is going to be your next president, and I believe she probably is going to bring in some family law judges for a family law section, because I know she cares about families in our communities. Thank you. Next slide. This is just for you to share later the goals of our family division. One family, one court. The friend of the court is currently engaged in overtime projects, and I'm going to do this for you, but they have a docket review committee, which every division has implemented, and the Self-Help Center has been given a grant to expand services. And by the way, that grant was written by our own Fran Maturi with the help of General Counsel. Oh, Ms. O'Grady. Next slide, please. I also want to mention that our family division, our juvenile division, and our entire court is joining forces with the community. And this is just a slide to give you an example. One of the examples is the other day, we had someone come in with the program for senior citizens, and what they told us is that they have a program where they are going to pay senior citizens to work part-time in the community. And guess what? We enlisted them as volunteers for our self-help centers through Frank Uturi again, and they are going to be, our self-help centers are going to be open and running, and we want you to encourage others to volunteer to do that. Thank you. And now we're going to get to the civil division. So, here are our civil division judges. Again, the presiding judge of the civil division, Leslie Kim Smith, and all of our civil division judges who are here, please stand up. Our civil division judges. And you can see we have new civil division judges. I encourage you to meet with them and talk to them more today. They are as dedicated as the rest of our judges to serve you and to learn from you what your needs are and what your clients' needs are. They are some of our most senior judges. It takes seniority to get there, and they're dedicated to the law and to reading the law and to objective interpretation of everything you bring to us. Next slide, please. And I want to mention their highlights. In 2022, the 2023 highlights for our court. As you know, we opened the public on January 17th, and it has not been easy because our judges have to work with a lack of deputies. We don't have enough deputies every day. We have to work with the lack of clerks because the clerk's office is, as we all are, underfunded. And they want you to know that despite all that, the courtroom doors are open. You might notice that Leslie Kim Smith put on here, most civil judges are working from the building. It's no secret to us that our public wants us to work from the building, and although we know and we recognize that the silver lining of COVID has been remote work, we're glad that you don't have to bring your adjusters from New York or other states in order to meet with us. However, and we do about 85% of our cases remote and online, but we mostly do it from our courtrooms so that we are there and available to you when you call and when you come in, and when you need us, we're there to serve you. Judges are updating their post-pandemic protocols online. Judges are conducting jury trials in person, and the in-person proceedings are being scheduled at the judge's discretion, but let me add, and also at yours. You have to ask, you have to tell them, you have to let them know when you want to be in court and you need an in-court hearing, and our judges are dedicated to serve your needs. There's a lawyer's lounge on the 12th floor. It's open for you from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And again, our courtrooms are open. Next slide, please. This slide tells you about no-fault filings. So Wayne County had 61% of the state's no-fault filings in 2022, and Oakland County had 17%. You might have read an article last year that said Oakland County now has 30% of the no-fault cases in Michigan, and it's growing. That's fake news. We want to let you know that because we do handle the bulk of those cases. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry, let's keep it on that one. All right, so we do handle the bulk of those cases. We are concerned about efficiencies and what you need for us to handle them, and we do want to partner with you and join forces to handle them expediently and efficiently. So this slide is, I know, impossible for you to read, but I'd ask you to look at those top little squiggly lines, the purple one and the pink one. And what that demonstrates is something about our business court. It was also said that everybody, all of you lawyers, want to go to Oakland County for business court because you want this special time and special attention that a dedicated court can give. And that the thought was that Wayne County's a mill and would not be able to reach the high standards that the business court wants. See those lines? They're meeting each other because it's recognized by the lawyers, it's recognized by the public that our business court judges are not only up to par, they're way better than any other court. If you could have any business court judges here, please stand. Our business court judges were asked by Scale to publish opinions on the Scale website, and they published 45 opinions in 2022. And I believe that their goal may be to double next year. Next. I borrowed this slide from Bobby Ray, who presented this at the No Fault Seminar. And I want to mention to all of you lawyers that you know that case evaluation has changed, that it is no longer mandatory. And Bobby Ray, who's on the board of directors of the Mediation Tribunal, presented this to give the reality of the situation. The reality is that, number one, many of you rarely meet the criteria to take your case out of case evaluation, but if you do, the judges may allow it. But really, you've got to rethink that, especially in AutoNet cases. The purpose of case evaluation is to evaluate the real case, to get it up to speed and efficient quicker, to get to know your case early and know your opposing party quickly. And this is only a first number, and it most definitely helps your court, your judges, to be able to have effective settlement conferences and to help you to settle your cases. And I, next slide please, want to mention that you should choose those cases to get out of case evaluation very carefully. If you don't use it, you will lose it. It's only $75 each side, which is much, much less than facilitation. And it supports the free virtual discovery mediation that is a resource for you to use. They are open every Friday from 8:30 to 12:30 to handle your discovery matters for you, and the money used is the money that you spent on case evaluation. So please consider that before you disregard a resource that is very valuable and very needed for you and for our court. Next, please. Now we want to look at looking to our future. We need to resume in-person operations, but balance it with, again, the silver lining of the remote work that you need and we need to stay efficient. We need to stop pushing back because all of us would love to stay home, but sometimes for us to join forces and work best together, we need to come to work, and we invite you to come to our court and work with us as much as possible. We continue to fill positions, and there's going to be a completion of our new criminal justice center. Next, please. This is about our staffing trends, and just to let you know that we did fill, we filled 18 positions, probably 24 by now. There are positions posted, and although it says 180 positions, we're not going to fill every one of them because we've shown that our team is great and efficient, and we're going to do more as we always have with less. Next, please. This comes from our strategic planning, and it's an internal slide. But the reason why I included it is because I wanted to let you know that the challenge is, as it is in many businesses, that the aging population, including myself, of employees and judges and everyone else, we have to, our challenge is that we need a succession plan. However, the great news about this, the heartwarming news, is that look at the number of employees who have worked in our court for over 21 years, and what does that tell us? It tells us that these are great people who care. They're not here for the money, and once they started with us, they remained because their gratification comes from serving others, and we appreciate the fact that they are with us, and we appreciate it, and we try to appreciate it by giving them an unprecedented opportunity to advance in our court. Next. So here's our new Criminal Justice Center, and our leader in bringing us to the Criminal Justice Center is again Alyssa Shannon. And Alyssa should be up here speaking with me, but we weren't sure there was enough time, so she can yell out and correct if there's something I'm missing. But I'm just going to flip through the slides really quick. Next slide. This is the building, and it's titled, so I don't have to know much. It's Main Court Tower. I was here once. It will be opening, and I believe we will be in that building by the end of the year. Is that true, Alyssa? That's a goal. Main stairs of the court tower, second floor. Next. And it just shows what this state-of-the-art court is going to look like. And the next slide, I don't know if Mike has anything specific to say about it, but that little black box, I'm told, is the state-of-the-art technology. It's going to tell everybody every day what's going on in that courtroom and any other news they need to know. Anything else? And that is just a symbol of Mike's work for us. The next one is, I think, the last, the court, and the next slide. I do want to mention before we leave the community service that you do and that we partner with you in already. This was Law Day 2023. What was it, last Wednesday? It was a couple days ago. And we had the barristers, and I don't know if Essence is here. Are you here, Essence? But she ran this along with our judges and the volunteer court staff. But I want to commend the judges who volunteered, and even though they're very day, in order to host these high school students in their courtrooms and to hear their arguments. And that's Judge Smith, Judge Hubbard, Judge Testani, Judge Ewell, Judge Lillard, Judge Heisey, Judge Gibson, and Judge Berry. If any of you are here, please stand. That is something that we so much appreciate. And we've got some pictures, 3 pictures. This is the wait, go back to U of D. I want to say one thing about U of D. You see the person with the sign in U of D? Her name is Sandra Poe Wheeler. She's worked for our court, she told me 30-something years and is just about to retire. We love her and we need her, and I asked her to stay, and she said she's going to stay another couple of years. So that's her. The next one is our Dearborn and our welcome, and the next one after that is Essence giving the award of the best essay to one of our U of D students. So, and that's you. All credit to you, Detroit Bar, and that is the next one. Just to show you an example, and these were taken with my cell phone, that's why it's, but this is, I took this one of Judge Leslie Kim Smith again, and her court staff, and her courtroom, and her work with her class. What class did you have, Leslie? I think Cass Tech. All right, Cass Tech. So last slide, no, one of the last few slides, pro bono volunteerism. And this just gives you the opportunity to get a hold of John Sear from the Detroit Bar, to get a hold of Fran Uturi, and to think about volunteering as a pro bono work for our community. We want to encourage that, and we thank you so much, any of you who can find the time and the ability to do that. Next slide. We want you to know we're hiring, and 10 vacancies for associate attorneys alone. We're working with Detroit at Work. There are many other positions. Detroit at Work is going to spread the word on entry-level positions for people who want to make a career out of working with us. Next. Again, we very much appreciate your input. We are here to join forces with you, Detroit Bar, to serve our community better together. And this court welcomes your constructive comments and your ideas. Please contact us with anything that you need, anything you can help us with, any suggestions. Next. All right, so this is the Detroit Bar and the Wayne County Circuit Court, and it's joining forces to serve better together throughout the years. We are so grateful for you and for the work that you have done with us together. And that is it. I want to thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Detroit Bar, for joining forces with our court to serve better together now and in the future. Thank you to my family for all your love, putting up with me, and sometimes allowing that I spend more time at work than at home. I want to thank my court family, all of you, everyone who works for this court. I am so blessed to have you, and I do not, and cannot thank you enough. You make all of this happen, and to give all I do for the next year is support and encourage the greatness that is you. I will have more than accomplished my own goal for 2023. Thank you.